We had the tallest building in the world for over 25 years with Sears. I don't think we're ever going to have the tallest building in the world nowadays. It goes down to over 100 feet below us in the bedrock. It's a giant I-beam in the middle that keeps it where it is. But if you have such a skinny base to a building, weighing too much. This is our second technique we're going to learn. They use technology in that building to reduce the sway, called inertial slosh dampers. Work like shock absorbers for the sway. I'm going to do a little demonstration of how this might work. If you'd like to look up here at me, I'm going to act it out. When the building sways, thank you. One direction because the wind. The water in the tank, that's me, my big roll. With slosh, the opposite direction of the sway. And then continue to slosh the tank, opposite of the sway of the building, to keep art history. Thank you. All right, this is our last time through Wolf Point, everybody. Did I mention the L yet? The train that was passing over the tracks up there? The L is our public transit. That's how I get to and from this boat. I'll be on it in 45 minutes to an hour. It's called the L because it is elevated. Very clever here in Chicago. It goes to the city center where it makes a big loop, which is why we call this area of the city the Loop. Very clever. Yeah, Ferris Bueller's dad worked in this building over here to our right. That's where he watched the parade at the end from. If you are familiar, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 40th anniversary. Lots of great Chicago movies, really. Well, another one of my favorite Chicago movies is called The Fugitive. It stars Harrison Ford, who's... so those guys, yeah, you see them? They're called Merchant Princes, which is a really fancy name for people who got really rich in Chicago. They are people like Marshall Fields, F.W. Woolworth, and Aaron Montgomery Ward. If you're nodding your head right now, then you remember what a department store is. Yes, you do. We used to have a lot of those in Chicago. Actually, this was a very popular location for them. Sears, the Sears Tower. Had merchandise to be sold. You wanted to be located here because this was the center of trade and commerce in this country for a long time. You could make a lot of money shipping it around the country, and then you could have your head memorialized on the side of our river. Pretty cool. The heads face away from the river. Fun fact, they used to face towards the river. They requested to be turned around. They couldn't stand the smell. They've been cleaning up the river for the last 40, 50 years. In the 70s was when that really started to pick up. There was a really famous study of the river done in the 70s where they were looking at the damage being done to the ecosystem, okay? They were asking questions, you know, like how are our fish doing? And they were finding answers like from Wolf Point down to Lake Michigan, walk the whole thing. You can stop along the way and have a great drink at places like Tiny Tap. Tiny Tap is pretty popular. I like Tiny Tap a lot. It's 1968. We have not mentioned this style yet. It's called brutalism. Brutalism. I have to get the question if a car has ever gone off the edge. It has, on purpose. In a Steve McQueen movie in the 80s, they drove a car off it. Pretty cool. The Hunter is the name of the movie. Lots of different styles of architecture up here in front of us, and I love the way it's all lit up. I like that receding off in the distance, those different styles. The one way back there, 6. Now, when it was built, they put a car elevator in the middle of it. It was a big innovation. They thought you could stay in your car and ride to a floor to trade jewelry, right? Kind of cool. You couldn't use it anymore because, like on Batman, but not here. That's the jeweler's building. Still a lot of one option. Look at these 4 buildings over here on our right. You'll notice that they actually do something a little unique. They touch one another. There's no space between the buildings. This does not happen very often in Chicago. Up here on the left-hand side of the river is a lot of buildings. A ton. After the fire, there was a real effort to open the city up, to allow for more space, to be a city in a garden. So I like this a lot. I think it makes it easier to think, to breathe, to live in the city center, more space. All right, we're up here at Michigan Avenue. Michigan Avenue is really starting into the journey later. There's a lot to do on Michigan Avenue as well. Or Gothic French Revival, yes indeed. Hello, I don't know. So yeah, French Revival, remember the Wrigley Village Spanish Revival. They are office buildings that look like cathedrals. Another office building from the start of the show, the city of Chicago. Take some pictures, I think. All right. There's some kayakers in the way. We're trying to get them out of the way so we can dock. All right. I guess we're hanging out while we're here with the kayaks. Over here on the right-hand side, see that building with the red light at the top? It is lighting up something that kind of looks like a giant yellow onion. I like to tell this story not about the onion. Behind the onion, there's a chimney. Do you see the chimney? It is also... Now, as you leave the boat today, I do hope you take this new language of architecture with you, you know? Architects, styles, eras, materials, cow stories. These are all ways to talk about architecture. And now that you know some of them, I'm going to challenge you to use them. I have two little challenges. They're fairly simple. My first for you all is that it for yourself. That's it. There are so many great stories in the city of Chicago I don't get to talk about. I hope you find one. And my second challenge is to take this new language of architecture back to your own cities. Use it as a starting point to see what your city has to say. Yeah, architecture is different from one city to the next.